Hello, everyone. This is Stephanie, Director of Android Project of Nativex. The aim of this project is to help overseas developers to bring their Android apps to China more fluently. We provide not only Android store releasing service, but also customized localization solutions. Today, I am the opening speaker to give an overview of how we can help global Android developers enter China by the three parts listed on the left slide of the catalog. After me, my colleagues will share the successful cases of our project and give further introduction of relevant national policies. In addition, we are honored to invite Shirley, the head of Startup Community Business Development in AWS China, to introduce their Chinese service that can help to improve global developers' user experience in China mainland. Firstly, I will show the overview of the Chinese market and highlight the key points for you. Why is China generally considered to be the world's largest mobile internet market? Let's see a set of data. China's internet user volume occupies 1/5 of the world's total number of users. The average daily time spent on mobile devices in China is almost 5 hours, which is far above the global average level. What's more, over half of the mobile app downloads in the world happen in China, and more than 80% of them are Android version. However, China's huge Android market penetration rate is actually made up of countless Android stores. Maybe you don't believe it, but there are more than 400 Android stores in the Chinese market. An overly fragmented Android market in China makes it difficult for overseas developers to do business here. Besides an extremely fragmented Android market, China's independent mobile internet market has nurtured its own social media system. One of the typical representatives is WeChat. This requires overseas developers to ensure that their applications can allow Chinese users to log in and share by using their domestic social accounts. What makes overseas developers even more troublesome is the Chinese government regulation as well as the finance and taxation system. Regarding the detailed introduction of laws and regulations, my colleagues will explain to you in the third part. In order to help you better understand the local Android stores and not be frightened by the huge number of stores, I decided to show you the user base and key features of the top Android stores in China. As you can see that the top 10 Android stores have already accounted for over 95% of the total Android market share. To some extent, as long as you focus on these Android stores, it is enough. Based on this, our one-stop Android solution will certainly help you a lot, sincerely. If you are interested in learning more about the features of each store, feel free to follow our linking page where there is an article that describes them in detail, or you can review our Android website page. Taking into account the aforementioned opportunities and difficulties, we have sorted out a comprehensive solution for overseas developers who plan to step into the Chinese Android market. Please allow me to have a brief introduction about our one-stop Android solution. Team up with XploreChina Android team, the end-to-end implementation process ensures the global developers not only get the hands-on guidance of each step, but also provides the customized suggestions of their apps. Generally speaking, there are 4 main strengths of our Android solution. First, we help global developers to make their apps reach almost all the local Android users in China by releasing their apps on the top Android stores. In order to make sure you can get the widely distribution opportunities, we connected closely with Huawei, Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, Tencent My Apps, Meizu, Baidu, 360, Sogou, and so on. Second, all the members of Android support team are China-based experts with solid understanding of the market, its policies and user behaviors, trends, as well as the business insights. The third and fourth strengths are related to our self-serve platform, open to the global developers. We launched 4 languages covering the operation interface and the technical documents. Moreover, we provide the real-time data reports for customers to check the important dimensions of their business in China. For example, the number of downloads and the user comments in each Android stores, as well as the daily monetization amount. Now, let us further understand the lifecycle services of our Android solution together. Our Android services are roughly divided into 3 categories. The services related to launch includes the certificates preparation, content checking, and tool support. Under the supervision, developers should be in compliance to get approved by the local Android stores. For example, the app should show the user agreement and privacy policy to all the users in Chinese. Besides, a copyright is a required certificate for every app. Since the dashboard of each Android platform is in Chinese, we provide continuous management support after the successfully releasing. Moreover, in order to make your app suit the local user habits, we provide a series of technical solutions for you to choose from. Like we can help your app to have the local login function, including WeChat and QQ, and allow the Chinese users to pay by WeChat Pay or Alipay in your app. Of course, the preparation of cloud accounts is also provided. And other services are related to monetization and global settlement. XploreChina Android team will help clients to do IAA optimization by using the local ad networks. What's more, we will help to deal with the local settlement and tax issues and pay you back in US dollar. Just as I mentioned before, we provide a cross-border platform for global developers to manage their Android apps in China. I put some screenshots for your reference in this slide. The foreign language we support nowadays are English, Korean, and Russian. And the life cycle stages are shown obviously at the front page for customers to know where you are and what should you do next. Furthermore, since it is a self-serve dashboard, all the mentioned services and tools have their own tech to choose from, and we will jump in to provide help and support if needed. All in all, from required documentation to launching and app management to monetization, XploreChina Android team will accompany you in every step of entering the Chinese market. In addition to the services provided above, we will help our clients stay up to date with the latest regulations as well as the user trends and behaviors. In this part, we will share some insights for your reference when doing preparation to enter China market. Let's see the non-gaming apps first. They are broadly divided into many categories by their features. Even though the product homogeneity problem is quite serious, users can be retained once the app has a single useful function. Therefore, the core competitiveness for the non-gaming apps is high level of the user experience. Additionally, in spite that, more and more Chinese Android users have better capability and willingness to top up, we do not recommend that developers rely on a single monetization method. It is necessary for your apps to have both IAA and IAP functions, just as the local developers do. As for gaming, we know that China is the leading market of mobile games with a huge base of gamers. Take 2020 annual sales as an example, a year-on-year increase of 20.71%, eventually reaching over 278 billion yuan. However, the state has stricter supervision of games. In addition to the qualifications for the game publishing business, there is a required protection rules for minors. With this in mind, hyper-casual games will be more suitable to try this market first. Finally, I want to emphasize that whether it is a game or tool application, it is better to have a well-prepared local logging and sharing system, which will make your application look more localized and suit the user habits. Next, I will invite Sharon to introduce the cases of our XploreChina Android solution.
Thank you, Stephanie, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Sharon, and I'm the Senior Platform Operation in XploreChina. Today, I'll be telling you about some success stories that we have to help you understand more deeply on our service and strengths. Case 1 is a weather app, a free utility app that helps users get real-time local weather and forecast for upcoming days. After contract was made, we helped client comply with local Chinese law and modify app according to user preference. Service include privacy policy, server responsiveness, etc. to make the app more suitable for the China market. Like most of the utility app, weather app is monetized through IAA only with 4 placements: splash, rewarded video, interstitial, and native. However, due to Chinese laws and firewall, a majority of overseas websites and services such as Google and Facebook are not accessible within China. Therefore, it proved 2 challenges to achieve ideal eCPM or conversion rate from those overseas platforms. On the other hand, if you want to work with a local ad platform in China, you must understand that most of them only have a Chinese interface and integration documents. Apparently, it is difficult for developers to complete account applications as well as SDK integration alone. By contrast, by integrating our aggregate SDK, Weather app can easily complete one-stop integration with multiple local ad platforms, which significantly reduced docking and maintenance costs. Our professional operation and technical team provide clients with trusteeship services ranging from integration guidance, license preparation, account application, and IAA optimization, helped reduce clients' internal exploration costs and improve their operation efficiency. As for reports, clients can easily track ad revenue by each platform and even by each placement through our dashboard directly. With our help, Weather app has successfully launched to several Android stores in China. As you can see in the chart, in the beginning, our top media promotion team tailored the UA plan for the app to grow the basic user base. Then we stopped UA. Thanks to the localization we did in advance, it enhanced the portability and enabled high usage frequency. Till now, even without promotion, Weather app can still continue to obtain stable ad revenue. At the same time, with our positive relationship with local app stores, the app maintains a good rating level and still attracts a certain organic volume, which helped the client save more than $6,800 in promotion costs. Recently, under our suggestion, Weather app will implement a mixed monetization model, adding IAP function to enrich the source of income. Speaking of mixed monetization, it combines in-app purchases and advertising. In recent years, the payment capabilities of Chinese users are getting stronger. App Annie data shows that in 2020, China market reached the top of the world in consumer spend. For IAA-based apps, adding IAP based on high-quality features and membership systems can help developers maximize monetization benefits. For IAP-based apps, adding IAA based on the user experience can fully exploit the traffic value. Therefore, it is strongly recommended that all utility developers enable mixed monetization at the same time to ensure ROI as much as possible. In addition, we will also provide weather app with in-store UA services to help consolidate its rating and organic volume in the future. Now, let's see the case 2. This is a fitness app used by millions of users at home and abroad. It is committed to providing customized teaching courses and meal plans, and monetized through IAP. Subject to the language barrier and strict qualification requirements of China's stores and payment channels, this feature app sought to work with us. We provided localization suggestions and release qualifications for the app, prepared privacy policy and user agreement templates that can meet regulation, and successfully helped the client launch on multiple stores to increase brand awareness. Under the tighter national policy environment, XploreChina can timely insight into policy changes, promptly convey the latest requirements to clients, help them rectify apps, and enable the app can remain on the store. More importantly, unlike the in-store payment method abroad, China non-gaming apps generally do not need to rely on store payment, but to directly integrate local third-party payment channels, such as WeChat Pay and Alipay, which is also the most common payment method in China. However, difficulties with account opening and fiscal or tax-related issues prevent the attempt of hundreds of overseas developers, not to mention payment environment building overseas for debugging and testing. With the help of our one-stop payment aggregate SDK and technical support, the fitness app realized the integration of WeChat Pay, solved the localized payment and testing problems, and enable users to complete in-app purchases in the easiest way. At the same time, we provide clients with after-sales service, including user complaint handling, regular modification suggestions, etc. We also allow clients to check and maintain all store management in our dashboard directory. Due to the recent PIPL, we even provide clients with cloud business-related consulting and lending services. To date, we maintain continuous and close partnership with this fitness app, helping them collect at most $76,000 from IAP per month. In the future, we will also provide subscription functions for them to enrich user options. Now, let's see case 3. A hyper-casual puzzle game is monetized through IAA. Similar to the utility app, we provide the client with modification suggestions, release, and IAA solutions. Through our professional optimization, its eCPM has been improved significantly to above 25% and achieved positive ROI. Recently, we have launched the aggregate SDK for different needs, which can help clients better explain the possibility of China distribution. Feel free to contact us for more details. Next part, I will invite our colleague Patricia to share her part.
Thanks for Sharon's introduction. I'm Patricia Ling from Nativex Legal and Compliance team. I'm really glad here to introduce you some general compliance issues of Chinese Android market. In today's presentation, I will divide all compliance issues into 3 parts by different stages while entering Chinese market. The first part is about content compliance. Before entering into Chinese market, developers shall do an initial self-inspection on the products to be published to avoid a violation of the following 9 prohibitions. In a word, your product is not allowed to contain any contents that challenges national sovereignties and any other national interest, disturbs social order or public order, infringe individuals' rights and interests, and violate any applicable laws. You may need to have a real name system in your products if you offer a BBS product or game products. Users are required to provide their ID information for identity authentication while using these products. Meanwhile, all Google services are restricted to access in PRC, so no Google service shall be contained in your products. The second section is about privacy protection and consumer protection. The most relevant law concerning privacy protection are cybersecurity law, data security law, and personal information protection law. We will call it PIPL later. Comparing to other 2 instruments, PIPL focuses more on individuals' information protection, and it will have a great impact on collection and process of personal information of data subjects that are located in PRC. In order to be compliant with PIPL, developers should have a pop-up to notice users of product privacy policy and user terms at the first time initiating the application, and obtain users' consent to these 2 documents. Please remember that no pre-tick checkbox for privacy policy and user terms consent is allowed. In our solution, we will offer you different templates for these 2 documents, and you can tailor these documents as per your products. You will also require to provide a pop-up for data access permission before first access to this data. Developer cannot refuse to provide any functions or service that contain in its application if user do not consent to developer's collection of these data that is not necessary for providing this function of service. According to PIPL, you should store all personal information within PRC if your process of this personal information reach a threshold amount that prescribed by the National Cyberspace Authority. However, you are allowed to provide such information to an overseas recipient only when you pass a security assessment that organized by the authority. For attribution purpose, we highly suggest you to implement OAID solution that provided by most Chinese manufactured devices. Next comes to the consumer protection parts. Legal authority of consumer protection comes from various laws, and you should mainly focus on establishing a customer support mechanism and complaint channel in accordance with consumer protection law. Meanwhile, it will be required to integrate with the anti-addiction system that limit minors' access time of your products when you offer game products in PRC. The last part will come to qualification and license. A domestic entity is a must for launching products in all Android market in PRC and applying for value-added telecom business license that should be obtained by all commercial content provider. If you need to store information in PRC, you need to open an account with a domestic entity on domestic cloud service platforms such as AWS China. In our solution, we can provide a suitable domestic entity with value-added telecom business license and mutual tax solution to facilitate your needs. Software copyright registration certificate is also a must when entering China. Comparing to apply for the certificate by an overseas company, it reduces cost and time comparatively by a domestic one. You should obtain online game publication number issued by National Press and Publication if you offer game products in PRC. If your application belongs to financial, telecom, medical, or education, you may also need to obtain a business operating permission for various supervision departments in China. From our past experience, in some cases, a domain name register is necessary if you need to have a website with your domain name. If your application related to live streaming performance, network music, game, comic, animation, films, and television programs, you may need to obtain Internet Culture Operating License and Internet Audio Visual Program License. Hope our Android solution and compliance experience escort a journey in China. Thanks for watching my parts.
Great sharing. Thanks Nativex for hosting this event, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to share with you AWS China extend your successful growth. This is Shirley. I am the head of startup community development for AWS China. We have a team who has years of experience of serving startup customers, including global to China application developers. My agenda today includes why AWS China, how we help our customer build a China-ready business, and some startup use cases. Firstly, let's look at the Gartner Magic Quadrant. AWS is the pioneer in global cloud computing market, introduced the first cloud service S3 in 2006. Since then, AWS continues to lead the market for the last consecutive 11 years. AWS is the leader in Gartner Magic Quadrant. Now let's look at China. AWS has started operation in China since 2013, and we have been keeping investing and expanding our infrastructure and business since then. So far, China is the only country outside of the US where AWS has 3 regions. Recently, our Ningxia region has entered the second phase of construction, increasing available space and capacity by 130%. And our Beijing region has added the third available zone. We have 3 labs to support the high demands and rapid development on IoT and artificial intelligence, particularly in that region. And we have operation in 22 cities across Greater China. Also, the number of AWS partners in China is in thousands, and they are well-trained and certified to support customers' needs. They will help plan, design, and implement your infrastructure and application development, plus long-term optimization for cost and performance after service launch. AWS China Marketplace supports you to deploy products and access to AWS China customer space. AWS China services are operated by our local partners, NWCD for Beijing region and CNET for Ningxia region. AWS provides its industry-leading technology, guidance, and expertise to NWCD and CNET. NWCD and CNET operate and provide AWS cloud services to China customers. The underlying infrastructure is located in China, At the account level, AWS China region's account is separated from global regions, meaning that the whole authentication stack is physically and logically separated. Build in China for China is always the best idea. We recommend international customers to deploy their China customer-oriented application and service within China to reduce the cost and risk and provide the best performance. Although we have customized for adapting local requirements, all the features launched in China and the services operated by NWCD and CNET maintain the same level of guarantees from both performance and the security standoff points. For example, AWS China regions have the same console experience as other AWS regions. Developers won't need additional training to use AWS services in the AWS China regions, which use the same APIs, SDKs, and the command lines used in other AWS regions. Write code once and deploy globally with ease. You can easily migrate your applications to AWS China regions. For example, AMIs and the data can be easily copied to AWS China regions. You can select from a wide variety of global and local third-party tools and solutions to help your migration. Using services provided by leading Chinese telecommunication carriers, customers can easily establish connectivity between resources in AWS China regions and those located outside China. Bandwidth can be flexibly configured based on business requirements. Okay, we developed the getting started process to better assist customers landing in China. It includes business planning and IT planning consulting, joint cloud implementation or migration planning, and onboard AWS China. At the early planning stage, AWS team located in the host country and China can provide expert opinion based on your business nature. The AWS China also has business development managers that are specialized in industry vertical and business segments, such as retail, manufacturing, healthcare, education, ISV, and many more. In addition, we are working with companies like Nativex and other consulting firms with different cost ranges and proven track record to support business registration, such as ICP license application, taxation, hiring, as well as global to China compliance consultancy, such as how to plan and implement and to be compliant for China cybersecurity requirement, data residency, and cross-border data transfer. For business application development and IT resources planning, AWS China has a sizable solutions architect and professional services team across the country who can help and provide advices on best design of services and architectures. After planning phase, now we are moving to registration of service landing. The AWS China account registration can be done within 1 hour. It's easy and quick. Business which involves external facing website needs ICP filing. AWS has a team to support you to file without charge. Normally takes 20 days. Now you are ready to launch your service officially to serve your customers. In addition to the general landing services, as you know, Amazon is growing from a startup. We are still day one. Here we list the growth journey of startup and provide special offerings to startups to support their growth from early stage. I'm going to highlight some of the most popular offerings. One of the offerings is Activate program. It provides startup with the resources you need to get started quickly and easily on AWS. Resources include services credits, business support, and service training. In 2020, Activate program issued $1.15 billion credits to support more than 60,000 startups globally, including unicorns. Infusion program can bridge you to enterprises in China who might be looking for your service and offerings. Customers feel confident in choosing AWS for the capabilities and services based on its reputation and experience. Here are just a handful of global customers who have chosen AWS in China across various industries and sectors, enterprises and startups. Next slide, I will highlight a couple of startup use cases. The first one is Firefly. It's an education technology startup founded in London. They offer a learning experience platform connecting teachers, students, parents, and school administrators with millions of users globally. AWS China team helped them better understand China regulation and compliance requirement, reach potential customers in China to further accelerate their business growth. The second one is very popular here already in China. It's an Australian independent, Canva is an Australian independent software vendor offering its design on demand application to 15 million Activate users in 190 countries. They were struggling to enter into the China market due to the Great Firewall blocking many foreign-run sites. Using AWS China services help Canva protect data with multi-region backups, enjoying machine learning innovation and agility with open source compatibility. By last year, Chinese users have created more than 50 million designs on the Canva.cn platform. We saved a lot of time thanks to AWS cloud computing resources in China, and we were able to reuse the infrastructure configuration that we have relied on globally. Re-architecting our system for any other local provider would have delayed our China launch by over a year, said by their head of infra. Okay, the third one is DNA. It's a gaming company originated from Japan. Supported by AWS Gaming Solutions, they are able to fast-growing game players without worrying about resources capacity at all. Okay, so this is my last page, and I would like to provide additional resources that you may want to look into for more detailed information. I hope this session provides you some useful information, and feel free to reach out g2c@amazon.com or contact AWS for any inquiry. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you everyone, and thank you all the global developers to join our panel today. Feel free to contact us to know more about this fast-growing market. XploreChina Android team will be your trusted partner to bring your Android apps landed China smoothly. And we will absolutely accompany you to connect with local cloud server like AWS China to maximize the user experience within mainland China. Looking forward to see you soon in our dashboard. Wish the global developers all the best in China market at their Android OS.